Hi, I'm Annie Botticelli, and this is the Storyteller forecast for Taurus for September 2017. Go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com. Check out my blog. Also check out my vocational offerings. If you would love to be a coach as your profession or an astrologer, I can help you with that. Also, if you'd like to learn astrology just for your own personal purposes, you can check out my website. So what's going on in the month of September? We still have eclipse news rolling in, eclipse changes taking foot in our lives. Sometimes the news comes and then it takes a little while for things to be implemented from that news, and September is going to be a very big implementation month because we got a lot of eclipse news in the midst of Mercury retrograde, which is kind of a time to be internal about the news or bring the work that comes from the news close to home, close to self, inside. And then as we move further into September, we're opening our window, the last one of the year, for really great launches and moving things in the external realm and taking action and locking down some things of importance. So September 20th through November 15th is the last window of the year free of personal planets retrograde and their shadow periods. And even before that window opens on September 20th, we've got a lot of really great usable energy for forward movement starting from September 12th. So I'll go into those dates that I like soon, but first I want to talk about some things specific for Taurus. I'm calling the theme of the month for Taurus Uncovering Hidden Talents because there is a massive amount of focus for early, middle, and late degree placements in the 5th house. The 5th house is the house of fun, romance, hobbies, games, children, creativity, childbirth, child rearing, anything involving children, your own or otherwise, acting, fashion. There are a lot of things in this house. One of the things that is lesser talked about is these things that are talents, and sometimes it takes a major a grouping of energy to dig deep to locate a hidden talent. This time also, this is a theme that carries over from last month where we talked about, well, first of all, there's family and home and family themes wrapping up. So all of Taurus placements, especially late degree placements, but really any of you, could be wrapping up some things related to home, buying a home, selling a home, moving house, psychological issues from childhood, dealing with extended family. Family is definitely a theme for all Taurus placements this month. But a continued theme is this 5th house theme, which has to do with adventures and taking some chances and doing some different things. So the odds that you'll find a talent that has been hidden are greater if you're actually doing something like taking classes or watching YouTube videos to try certain different things. These are the kind of things that you might not know that you're good at them unless you get out there and actually do them. Now, for those of you who have had a talent that you haven't done anything with, it's equally as likely that this energy can manifest with you moving forward with something there. So let's say you're a baker, but you have you want to sing, and people have told you you have a beautiful voice, and maybe you're not sure about it, or maybe you are sure about it, but regardless, things like that could very much shift to where you start taking voice lessons, or you start doing something about it, or you start doing something public with it. Could even be that these hobbies or games or this talent could turn into current or future work, or enhance your current work, or it could be totally unrelated. But this is a time to play. It's a time to experiment. It's a time to have fun just for the sake of itself. And the more childlike you can be with the way that you see things, just enjoying things in the moment. Think about the things that kids do. They get excited about stuff. They're present with stuff. They're, making messes because they're enjoying their food and they're not thinking about having to clean that up. This is a very different thing than most adults think about, and specifically Taurus placements who are, tend to be our responsible people who are consistent and showing up. I have one of my best friends from childhood that I'm still friends with is a Taurus, and she was always the glue that held our insane, group of people who are all over the place together, and she still does. So, there's that energy of kind of keeping everything hinged and held. But the way everything is moving this month, it's sort of opening up this, offering, this invitation to unhinge from responsibility and break free from some routines and things like that. So even though planets are moving into Virgo and the general transits will tell us a story of it's time to get back on task, which I'll talk about soon, in your personal planetary profile, there's a lot of this this zest that really, wanting to do something with this spark of something that really excites you, wanting to spend more time with it and then just see where it goes. So those are the things that are most on my mind specifically for Taurus placements. Now I want to talk about this energy of Leo, which rules the heart and creativity, and this energy of Virgo, which rules the logic and the brain in many ways. And a way to blend and merge those placements. Our major power comes from combining those forces within us. So I'm going to talk about a very easy technique that you can do to live more in your heart and to plug in to instantaneous wisdom and intuition. And I'll talk about the spiritual teacher that I got that from, as well as other things to note about September, including great dates and things to look out for. So the theme of this month for all signs is bringing fun to work. At this time of year, we start reining in that summer schedule. For my friends down under, maybe you're starting to think about opening things up for spring cleaning, whatever that looks like from the change in temperature perspective or the change in routine perspective, like going back to school. We often don't think about the astrological basis behind our tendency to get on task at this time of the year. But there is an astrological basis to it, as there is with many things that astrology doesn't get credit for. At this time of the year, personal planets start moving into the sign of Virgo and from Leo. So Leo is this creative, fun energy, and Virgo is very much on task. It's very much about duties. It's very much about organization and structure. So this year we've got quite a bit of Leo hangover into September, which means that it's going to be a little bit harder to get back on task. You'll find that you'll want that flexible, creative expression energy to drip a little bit further. So my recommendation for this is to bring that creative and fun energy into your duties. And this is a wonderful recommendation for people following, on a spiritual journey anyway, trying to make their lives better and improve their circumstances, bringing fun to work. But astrologically, it's a very wise principle to employ this month. So any way that you can figure out ways to better enjoy work, spruce up your workspace, bring more fun, creativity, flexibility to your organized routine, that's all going to be very well served by the astrological placements. We have a lot of other things to talk about this month regarding energy still coming in from the eclipses, Mercury going direct, some amazing dates for launches and pushing things forward. But before we get into that, I want to give you a very quick tutorial on something that came to me through Greg Braden. Greg Braden is one of my favorite people in the world. He is amazing, doing amazing things in the world. And he has this wonderful show on Gaiam TV, G-A-I-A-M TV, probably.com, but you can look for it online, where they have spiritual movies and documentaries and high vibrational information. So it's very refreshing. And Greg Braden has a show called Missing Links, where he will, in each program, bring science up, the most updated science, to show how it supports spiritual wisdom that has been passed on through the ages, and show you how to use this updated science, this new scientific findings, to deepen your spiritual work and to improve your experience on the planet and make the world a better place. So something that he recommended that I want to do this quick tutorial on, because it's relevant to this bringing fun to work. You know, when we talk about being more creative or bringing more creative spark to something that is very, you know, logical and mundane, sometimes there's a disconnect there. So we can say that the logical energy will represent the mind and the creative spirit will represent the heart. So when the heart and the mind and the heart are not talking, then it's very difficult to bridge that divide. So he explains that when we can create gamma waves in our brain, that links up the heart and the mind so that we can be naturally in tune to intuition, to creative wisdom, and self-healing, and overall create a better world for ourselves and everyone else. So the way that he says to do this in 3 quick steps is, the first is to touch your heart by actually touching your heart space, your heart chakra. You can start a connection, a conscious connection with the heart. Then if you slow your breathing down to 5 seconds on the intake, so 5 counts breathing in and 5 counts breathing out. And then the third step is to think about something you're grateful for. Now, usually that thing will make you smile, you know, even if it's just on the inside, but sometimes you'll find yourself actually smiling. He recommends doing this for at least 3 minutes, but I notice a huge difference just doing it for a short period of time. So if you are trying to blend these parts of your life, bringing fun to work, or anything else where you need to have heart and mind coordination, then follow those 3 steps and do that as often as possible, and it will start to bring you into a more heart-centered experience, which is what the world really needs. Okay, so now let's talk about Mercury going direct. On September 5th, Mercury goes direct, and that means that this planet of communication and transportation will start to adjust its course to be more coherent. When Mercury is in retrograde, we have slowdowns with communications, communication mishaps, devices going haywire, transportation and travel plans shifting. Mercury retrograde can be a very good time to travel. It's a misconception that it's not a good time to travel. It's just you have to do extra work to make things flow sometimes if you're not tuned in. Like if you're trying to schedule too much, often plans will change. So you can check out my Mercury retrograde video if you search for Annie Botticelli Mercury retrograde to see all about how to navigate in the Mercury retrograde energies. But for now, we just want to know that on September 5th, it goes direct. It often takes at least 2 to 3 days before things get regulated. So sometimes you'll have your action list. If you've learned to wait on big action steps until Mercury's direct, you'll be chomping at the bit and say, okay, it's September 5th, I'm going to start doing everything. And that's not recommended, because it's like when you slow down to make a U-turn, you have to slow down. This is like a planet changing directions, has the same energy. You have to slow down and then wait to see if other traffic is coming, you know, and then get back up to speed. So there's awkwardness in that time where you stop before you start moving again. And that's the equivalent of this September 5th time. So I would give it a few days before you start trying to move forward. I really like September 12th, even though we're not technically out of the post-retrograde shadow period then. We've got some amazing dates. We've got the 12th, I think the 13th, hold on. No, not the 13th. The 12th, the 15th, and the 17th and 18th are my favorite days of the month for doing things. It's not till September 20th that Mercury retrograde post-shadow period completely clears, but there's so much wonderful energy. And as usual, whenever I give you dates, you want to feel around them, because there's often a challenging transit right next to an awesome transit, and it's going to show up differently for each individual. So you have to tune in and feel when that pocket is on and jump on that pocket for your action steps. So you're still going to have news and information and a continuum moving along from the August eclipses. We can get news from the eclipses 4 to 6 weeks after the eclipses. And since we're in this, period of time between 2017 and 2019 of the Aquarius Leo eclipse polarity, you can have movement at any time during this time, so things have been set into motion and they're going to continue. But sometimes people will go through a month where there's eclipses and they won't even get any news or anything notable. But the month after, then boom, that's when the news comes. So we want to be on standby still, that all of September, even a little bit into October, you could still be having news, information, opportunities, things that need your attention that are coming from those August eclipses. So I'm going to give you a few more dates and some information about some transits to be aware of this month. And know that if you go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, and you sign up for my free email newsletter, the same way as I put these horoscopes out a month early, I send a written version of the general transits, not for each sign, but for the general transits. I put that out a month early in a written version to my newsletter list. So if you're interested in receiving that, you can sign up for that at anniehelpsyou.com. If you've already signed up for it and you're not receiving my emails, they're probably in spam, social, events, promotions, because I send them out every month like clockwork, a month before. So if you're not getting them, then connect with me through my website to figure out why, because I'm definitely sending them. Okay, so some great dates, and remember you can feel the effects of planetary transits before or after these dates, but I want to give you a little summary of when some sweet aspects are occurring. The 2nd, the 3rd, the 6th, the 9th, the 12th, the 15th, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, 20th, and 22nd. Some heavier aspects or challenges, opportunities in the form of challenges, may come up around September 4th, 5th, 6th, 13th, 16th, 19th, 20th, 24th, 25th, 27th, 28th, and 29th. Now you might notice that while some of those dates are different, there are some that are the same. So there could be a challenging aspect on one day, and there could be a great aspect on that same day. That's why it's so important for you to tune in. If an astrologer, me or anyone else, says, this is an awesome day, this is a day to do something important, but you're having a terrible day, you shouldn't do it on that day, But if you're feeling really good the day before and you're like, wow, this is what they're talking about, or a couple of days before, whenever it happens to hit for you, then you have to feel into those pockets of your own personal flow and activate according to your intuition using these dates and these transits as a guideline. So just a quick summary of some of these. And again, I do go into more details about this in my newsletter, and you can get this September copy sent to you when you sign up. So September 2nd and September 3rd, we've got these beautiful aspects with Mars in Leo. I really like them for all things, but the one on September 3rd could also cause an ego flare. So you want to make sure if you're coming from some place of fear or anger, you don't want to express those energies, but they're really great for expressing creative energies in general. Mercury goes direct on the 5th. We talked about that. We've got this full moon at almost 14 degrees of Pisces on September 6th. So fullness, completion, fruition, drama, things being brought to light in areas having to do with privacy, secrets, psychological issues, fears, addictions, limiting beliefs. All of these are Pisces related things. So things can very much be brought to light, things that were hidden, coming out from this deep place where they were hidden and brought to your attention. Sometimes this can be in the form of a powerful, enlightened moment where information comes to you that really helps you, or a resource comes in. And sometimes it's information that you didn't know about that was hidden that you really need to know about, and now you have to deal with it. So because this is a full moon in a water sign, especially one that's ruling these water energies of Pisces, flooding and issues with pipes bursting and water-related damage and issues can come up more strongly. So before this full moon, it's good to be proactive before. That's the reason why we talk about these things beforehand, is check your water policies, check your flood policy. Very often people don't have any idea what the heck their water damages are covered by their homeowner's insurance or their separate flood insurance. So if this is resonating with you, then do a little bit of a check, talk to your insurance people and check to see what exactly is covered and what isn't covered, and see if you have the proper coverage and the proper deductibles for your circumstance. If you have any water related kind of sketchy thing, it might be good to get that worked out, because there's going to be a lot of pressure on water pipes and water systems at this full moon. So there's another awesome day, September 9th. There's a Virgo, Sun in Virgo trine with Pluto and Capricorn. So we have great support for practical endeavors here. We've got this beautiful trine with Venus in Leo and Saturn in Sag on September 12th. And this is where the creativity and the fun and the romance of Leo, and also things involving children, are boosted with solid support for the future. So big visions about these things can get some really solid Saturnian help. On the 13th, we have Sun in Virgo square Saturn in Sag. So vitality, enthusiasm can take a hit this day. You know, the energies of Virgo can be very organized and meticulous and are wonderful for many things. But when we have a challenging aspect like a square, especially with Saturn, it could bring some, criticism or reality checks that aren't very comfortable. I like to recommend for, if you can take a little nap or kind of sleep on a situation, especially when it's a sun aspect, that usually it will pass pretty quickly, because its time frame, his timeline is not very long, so these are kind of quick things that come up and then they shift. Venus in Leo makes a great aspect with Jupiter in Libra on September 15th, and this can be great news for love and money and fun and creativity and children-related things. Jupiter rules expansion and good luck, and so anytime you have beautiful aspects between the love, beauty, money planet and the expansion and good luck planet, there's definitely some great potentials there. On the 16th, we've got Mercury in Virgo conjunct Mars in Virgo. So this is a great time to put talk into action. We've got, energy for advancement, just like we talked about before. Even though the Mercury post-retrograde shadow period runs until September 20th, there are a lot of dates in here that are really good for doing something and moving forward, and this is one of them, September 16th. Or the days around there, you have to tune in and feel. September 17th through the 18th, Venus in Leo trines Uranus in Aries. And this is a magical time, often bringing in wonderful surprises. Now, when we talk about positive or negative potentials with planets, we have to remember that we can only have from the planetary transits an experience of what we are a reflection of inside. Okay, so that means if you have a story, a limiting belief within you that says you can't have a good relationship or you can't have good money circumstances, then when an aspect like this comes along that is all about good relationship and money energies, you could block it, So this is one of the things I've heard people say over time, that sometimes people come to the conclusion that astrology doesn't work or isn't real. And of course, we know scientifically and culturally, every culture with written history has used astrology. So we know it's not that astrology is wrong. It's a matter of the holographic reality where we cannot have an experience of something that isn't true for us on the inside. So if you hear all of these good energetic potentials, astrologers talking about good energetic potentials, and you're not getting them, then that means you've got some inner work to do to make yourself a vibrational match for those things. So if you're an energetic match, this transit could bring in amazing romance, finances, and creativity potentials. It's very, very sizzling, especially because we've got 2 fire energies. So it's a very sizzling potential. September 19th through the 20th, we've got the new moon at 27 degrees of Virgo. Now, of course, you're asking, how is the new moon on 2 days? It's not. It just depends what time zone you're in. That's why we say the 19th through the 20th. So depending on where you are, that date could be different. So you always want to check to see the exact new moon energy time and figure it out for your location to see the exact day that this occurs. So the new moon at 27 degrees of Virgo opens new chapters for health, your daily routine, office dynamics. And if you're self-employed, your self-employed workflow or your business, pets, anything having to do with medical diagnostics, diet regimens, anything like that. New chapters opening there. This new moon is also trine Pluto in Capricorn, which brings support from powerful resources, either of a mystical, familial, or financial origin. And it's also square Saturn in Sag, which brings a hurdle that you have to get through to utilize the energies. And then it's opposing Chiron, which brings opportunities to train your inner hero. We always talk about Chiron as this wounded healer. That's one of the best known descriptions of Chiron in astrology, is that he's a wounded healer. Chiron was, in mythology, was a gentle centaur. And he had a wound, and there was, that's where we get that from. There's obviously a lot of story behind it. But one of the other aspects, lesser known aspects of Chiron, is that he was a trainer of heroes. So many of the heroes of that time were actually trained by Chiron. And so I see Chiron, when it shows up in a chart, here it's in a challenging aspect, but we always have opportunities from challenging aspects. It's showing us where our weaknesses are so that we can strengthen them, so that our inner hero can come out more. So of course we have the magical day of balance with September 22nd equinox. We've got a great aspect on the 22nd with Mercury in Virgo trining Pluto in Capricorn. And action, information can pop out at this time in a wonderful way. We can have lots of really good insights from that. On September 24th, Mars in Virgo opposing Neptune can have action blocked by uncertainty or self-doubt. Now on the 25th, we have Mercury in Virgo square Saturn in Sag. So some disconcerting news is likely now, and self-esteem could be affected by a reality check or a harsh person or a situation. On September 27th or 28th, Jupiter in Libra is opposing Uranus at 27 degrees. Now this aspect is happening for the third time. It's happening at a different degree than it happened before. But this is the end of a three-part story that started on December 26th of 2016, and then happened again at the end of February, beginning of March of 2017, and this is the final piece. So this aspect can bring a sustained rebellion against something that seems to be holding you down. Often we feel something from outside of us as holding us down, or there might be a very good story about how this person or this system is holding us down. But really, in the holographic reality, we only ever hold ourselves down. So this transit can be really good for taking external actions to break free, but unless you're also taking internal actions, the enslavement starts in the mind. So if you don't free your mind, then you're not going to really be able to properly get out of this, especially in the way that is the potential. Oppositions are challenging aspects, but there's so much potential with them to break free from an issue that we can all really consider the positive aspects. So on September 28th, Pluto goes direct. So a lot of that internal process that was occurring with Pluto going backwards is brought back into external reality. And then on the 29th, we've got Venus in Virgo opposing Neptune in Pisces. And this can bring self-doubt. We've got quite a few challenging aspects with Pisces this month. That's why you hear these, pieces of self-doubt and uncertainty coming through. So lots of chances to remember that we can all consciously connect to the source field that connects everything. Whenever we're feeling unsure, just remember that we're connected by this wave of this web, this wavy web connects everything. And so whenever you're feeling alone or uncertain, you can just connect into the certainty of all that is. So that is my breakdown for September. Definitely go to my website, anniehelpsyou.com, check out my blog, sign up for my free email newsletter to get a written version of the things that are going on for the month ahead. And if you're interested in becoming an astrologer, you can check out my astrology apprenticeship program. If you're interested in being a coach as your profession and you want to help people to reach their goals, you can check out my coach certification and online business course. If you are interested in understanding how ancient wisdom applies to current circumstances, you can look for my coming soon School of Practical Magic. So you can check that out on my website, coming soon. And if you'd like to have more information about September, then go to my hubby, B.R. Newman's website, iamhelios.com, IAMHELIOS.com, and check out his tarot report for the month of September. So I hope you have a wonderful month, and I'll see you next month.